Okay, so we're going to talk about a figure who is, for millions of people, the ultimate villain, the absolute worst. But for millions of others, he's a hero, a legit hero. How is that even possible? How can one person be both?
So, when I say the name Ravana, what pops into your head? I'm guessing for a lot of you, it's a pretty specific picture, right? A fearsome king with like 10 heads, the ultimate bad guy.
And look, there's a really good reason for that. His story is at the very heart of the festival of Dussehra. I mean, the whole point of the celebration is that he loses. He's the embodiment of evil who gets taken down by the hero, Lord Rama. This is the version of the story most of us know.
All right, so let's start there. Let's dive into that classic portrayal. Ravana, the 10-headed villain.
So in the epic Ramayana, the story is pretty straightforward. You've got Ravana, the demon king of Lanka. He kidnaps Sita, which kicks off a massive, world-changing war. Those 10 heads of his, they're said to represent his vast knowledge.
Sure.
But also his uncontrollable ego and greed. And his defeat, the burning of his effigy, known as Ravanahatha, is this huge annual ritual symbolizing, good finally crushing evil.
But is that really the whole story? Oh, it's not even close. If we just stop right there, we miss the most fascinating part of who this character really is.
Because, you see, for a whole lot of other people, especially in Sri Lanka, Ravana wasn't a demon at all. He was a genius, a brilliant scholar, and a respected, powerful king.
I mean, just look at this. The contrast is absolutely staggering. On one side, you have a demon king. On the other, a great scholar. A kidnapper versus a devout follower of the god Shiva. A symbol of cruelty versus an author and a master musician. How can both of these things be true? Well, the crazy part is, they are. Both of these narratives exist at the exact same time.
The key to figuring this out starts with his family tree. And it's complicated. To really get it, you need to know these two terms. Rakshasa, these powerful, sometimes demonic supernatural beings, and Brahman, the highest priestly and scholarly class. And this is where it gets really interesting. His dad was a super respected Brahmin sage. His grandpa, one of the sons of the creator god Brahma himself. But his mom was a Rakshasa princess. So you see, he wasn't just some simple demon. He was this complex hybrid, part scholar and part supernatural being. And that one detail, it changes everything.
And this whole scholar side of him wasn't just some minor detail. According to a ton of different texts and traditions, we're talking about a true, certified genius.
And get this, these aren't just vague stories. There are specific texts and achievements attributed to him. He's said to have written books on Ayurvedic medicine, including one of the first ever texts on pediatrics. He supposedly authored the Ravana Samhita, a huge deal in Hindu astrology. And on top of all that, he's credited with inventing an instrument, kind of like a violin, called the Ravanahatha, and was a master at playing it. It's wild.
So this version of Ravana, the scholar, the inventor, the king, his legacy is very, very much alive today. And nowhere is that more true than in modern Sri Lanka.
Today, you can actually go to Sri Lanka and travel the Ramayana Trail. You could visit the caves where people believe Ravana lived, go to the temples where he prayed, and even see the alleged landing strips for his mythical flying machine, the Pushpaka Vimana. His story is literally written into the landscape of the country. So, for many Sri Lankans, he's not the bad guy in somebody else's epic story. He is their king. He's a symbol of their own powerful, technologically advanced, and sovereign civilization that existed long, long ago.
Okay, so with this incredibly deep belief, you have to ask the obvious question. If he was a real person, where's the physical proof? And this is where myth runs headfirst into science. This belief is so strong that, and I'm not kidding, in recent years, the government of Sri Lanka has actually sponsored research to explore if Ravana was the world's first aviator, flying thousands of years before the Wright brothers. That's pretty incredible.
So we've got the powerful folklore, we have the tourism trail, we've even got government interest. But when the archaeologists actually start digging in the ground, what do they find?
And here's the blunt answer.
Despite all of these stories and all of these sites, there is not a single piece of hard archaeological evidence. No inscription, no artifact, no ruins that can be definitively tied to a historical King Ravana. Nothing.
And when you look at the timeline, the separation between myth and history gets even clearer. The Ramayana was written thousands of years after the land bridge between India and Sri Lanka naturally formed, and the famous sites that get linked to Ravana, like that stunning Sigiriya fortress, well, actual historical records show was built centuries later by a known king, King Kasyapa, with zero mention of Ravana.
So if he's not in the history books, why does this alternate story of Ravana not only survive, but actually thrive? Well, it's because his power today isn't historical, it's symbolic.
For different groups, Ravana has come to represent some really powerful ideas. For some in Sri Lanka, he's a symbol of indigenous pride. For many in southern India, he's an emblem of a great Dravidian king. And for the nation of Sri Lanka as a whole, he's become this figure of a glorious lost past and a hopeful, powerful future.
And this really gets to the core of it. The modern story of Ravana is this amazing example of what's called history from the bottom up. It's when folklore and the stories people tell each other become way more meaningful than what the official history books might say.
Which brings us all the way back to our central question. Who was Ravana? A villain? A hero? A king? Or a myth? The answer, it seems, is all of the above. He is whoever we need him to be. A demon for one culture, a hero for another. A myth to a historian, but a powerful reality to a believer. And that leaves us with one final big question to think about. The story of Ravana shows us that history isn't just about the past. It's about how we use these stories to figure out who we are today. And it forces us to ask, who gets to write our myths, and who gets to be the hero?